Hey everyone, I wanted to go over the new and exciting news that we got for Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak that's set to release on both the Nintendo Switch and on PC on June 30th. And this is going to be both a news video and a little bit of a discussion video with you guys, as I want to hear in the comments essentially what type of brand new SILKBIND attacks you want to be added specifically to your weapon of choice. We're also going to be going over the brand new SILKBIND attacks that Capcom has confirmed. There's a couple of gameplay clips, maybe even some new gameplay clips that we have gotten our hands on that are going to showcase some of the brand new SILKBIND attacks that we know are being added into the game, but we don't necessarily know all of them as of yet. So I definitely want to put it out there and hear your guys' opinions on what is your, first and foremost, your weapon of choice. What is the weapon that you're using? And more importantly, what type of SILKBIND attack you think your weapon could actually benefit from. So first and foremost, on the news sides of things, Capcom did put up a post recently on the Japanese Twitter account where it basically reads, there's a unique set of brand new SILKBIND attacks being added for each one of the weapons, all 14 types. The individual new various weapon actions will be further expanded. New details and announcements will be coming in the future. You can get a glimpse of the promotional video being released here. And they showcase basically a couple of clips that we have seen originally from the reveal trailer and a couple of new ones that we did not get to see in the past. So first and foremost, I think starting out, if you're seeing at the screen right now, you do get to see the hunter wearing the new Shogun Senator armor, and they are fighting a Rathalos. Here they're wearing, I believe, is a lance weapon. They used the SILKBIND to kind of launch themselves upward into the air. So the lance is kind of like poking up in the air. It kind of hits the Rathalos in the head, and then they quickly just pounce on it directly. Big master strike on the head. Presumably that is KO damage. You presume that would be KO damage, and that is a pretty decent SILKBIND attack for that weapon. Although I've seen a lot of clips from people just kind of dashing around with the SILKBIND attacks already, so I don't know if they want to swap that SILKBIND attack, since it's just so beneficial with the lances. They're just gonna be gliding all over the map and just attack monsters in that way. Moving over to the next clip, you actually get to see one of the ones that we got to see in the trailer, and this one is a light bowgun user. Basically, you put up this ring, this area, and presumably shots that go through it now have a piercing effect. So they will have extra clips, extra damage, and if you're using a rapid fire shot, presumably not only are you going to get rapid fire benefit, but you're also going to get piercing as well. So that is one of those things that I saw a lot of people kind of break down on Twitter, and it seems to be that's kind of what it is. If your shots go through that specific ring, presumably something that the SILKBIND does, you don't actually get to see that SILKBIND doing that action, but presumably they kind of go do a little spiral, and then every shot that passes through that get this added benefit of piercing damage on top of rapid fire, which sounds really freaking broken, to be quite honest with you. But you know, light bowgun units definitely need the damage boost, because of course, why wouldn't they? In the next shot, we also get to see another interesting one, and this one is the dual blades. The hunter is wearing Lunagaron armor. For, I guess, clarification's sakes, the hunter in the previous shot in the light bowgun clip, they were wearing the blood orange Bishitan armor and the bowgun as well. In this one, they are wearing the Lunagaron armor set with the Lunagaron dual blades, which I know in this clip specifically, a lot of people thought it was the Gore dual blades, since they kind of look similar, but that is not the case. These are just the Lunagaron ones, which we've seen in other clips before. And what we do get to see here is that the hunter, there's two versions of this clip. This one is specifically versus an ogre. They kind of jump off a cliff and then they quickly dive into the monster in a spiral formation. So they're doing kind of like, you would think, some side type of piercing damage or something along those lines against the monster. They do plenty of damage, plenty of attacks. We don't necessarily get to see this specific damage, but presumably because this is G rank, and if you're boosted enough, you're going to be able to do a pretty decent chunk of damage. There is another clip, however, and I'm going to try to cut to that one as well, and that is the very first time that we did get to see the Shogun Senator gameplay clip, which is something that I went over originally back when we first got this clip. And it's the same thing. You see the hunter now launching himself from the ground. They throw up the SILKBIND up in the air, and now they're like just diving straight up into the monster, into the Shogun Senator. They are wearing the Bishitan armor, but it's pretty much the same attack. So it does show you that you can do it both on the air, as you kind of like are flinging yourself forward, and you can dive bomb directly into a monster, and you can do it from the ground upwards. So this one is a pretty kind of like versatile one that you can do in certain different ways. Moving over to the other clip that we do have, this one is very short because it's like kind of like sandwiched in between a bunch of other clips that we got. But basically in this one, you do get to see that this is the insect glaive. So this is a hunter wearing blood, Bishaten armor. I don't know what type of insect glaive that one is. It could be just a basic Camera Village one. I can't quite tell. And what they actually do, and I'm going to slow down the video here because you can't really see it unless it's slowed down. You actually do get to see him kind of just toss the Kinsect forward in like a massively fast fashion. So this one specifically is presumably going to be for your Kinsect, where if you kind of want to grab at some abstracts, presumably, you know, head abstracts or tail abstracts, whichever color you're after, they're going to be doing that in an extremely fast fashion. One of the issues that I had specifically with insect glaives was the very first time that I ended up using it was in Monster Hunter Rise, was that the Kinsect is extremely slow. And actually the one that gets you 2 nectars, essentially 2 colors, it's not that fast. It's just kind of one of those things that you fling forward and you need to be really close to the monster to be able to grab that color, and specifically if it's for the tail, the bottom, like the head or stuff like that, because the monster is constantly moving. They're not going to wait for you. And then this one, actually, presumably, if you can waste a wire bug and send the Kinsect forward at a max speed, knowing that you're going to hit your target guaranteed, I'd much rather use a Silkbind to be able to, basically a wire bug from my 3, presumably, that I'm going to have in the bottom, to be able to just get that extra dash and to be able to get that extra, you know, nectar, so I could do my full combo abilities, you know, at my leisure. So certainly this one seems to be one of those ones that for insect glaive users is going to be a godsend, because most Kinsects do seem to be extremely rather slow. Now the next one I do think is a more controversial one, only because I've seen a lot of people make a lot of suggestions as to what it could possibly be, but we don't necessarily know. Again, Capcom hasn't been very clear as to what all these brand new Silkbind attacks are. So you get to see a hunter wearing Grady Sushi armor, presumably G-Rank GX version of this armor set, and they're fighting a Gauss Harag. And interestingly enough, it's such a short one that you might have actually missed it, but presumably the hunter kind of goes and like dashes underneath the monster, kind of double whops it, like both shield and sword. It's a sword and shield, hits them both. And a lot of people have been suggesting that this is actually Chaos Oil from Monster Hunter Generations and the original, like, older games, essentially because the same animation or a very similar animation is being used. Not only that, there is the glowing effect of the Silkbind as well, of the wire bug, so you don't necessarily get to see like the glow of the weapon itself if there is an actual oil there being used, but that is kind of like the ongoing theory that is Chaos Oil being used in that sword and shield kind of like wire bug Silkbind attack. Now that doesn't mean that oils are coming back. Presumably they could bring them back in a wire bug format, so you do get that benefit for that specific combo in one specific Silkbind attack. So that is what I think is a little bit more controversial, because obviously it's not verified, it's not confirmed, but the suggestion would be that something like oils would not be making a comeback into Sunbreak, which is something that I saw a lot of people suggest and want to see added into Sunbreak, specifically Sword and Shield users, which aren't even that many to begin with. And you would think that Sword and Shield would definitely need a benefit boost when it comes to damage, so oils will certainly help in that regard. But if Capcom chooses to make them just Silkbind attacks, you know, I guess that's one way to go about it. We'll have to wait to find out. In the last clip, however, this is another controversial clip that I saw a lot of people bring up for separate reasons, not the Silkbind attack, but first and foremost, we're going to talk about the Silkbind attack, and you'll get to see Mitsuzune GX armor hunter wearing with a switch axe attacking a Tigrex here. And basically what they do is one of those triple slash attacks with the switch axe. It's a pretty standard attack. I think it was one of those like double cross type of attacks that we saw back in the day in one of those different stances. I forget their names, but essentially he kind of like swings upwards the first time around. Second time around is a double swing, so they kind of do a complete 360-degree spin, and it's just a simple, you know, double attack, forward facing, pretty clear, massive damage, presumably. Now the reason why this clip is interesting, and a lot of people were making suggestions as to what it could possibly be, was because when you take a look at the left side of the screen of the Tigrex, you actually get to see that there's a tree right there glowing purple. Everything else around the map seems rather cold, let's say, C-U-L-L-E-D, if you cannot understand my English all that well. Cold meaning like kind of dialed back. Essentially the colors are kind of like drawn back, Everything colorful there is you, the hunter, with the Mizuzune armor, the Tigrex, and this purple glow that is right there on that tree. A lot of people were expecting that to be, again, Gore Magala's related, which, you know, virus related, which is, it doesn't seem to be the case. But there is something interesting happening with that tree. The hunter on the side that you actually get to see would not be making such a big glowy purple effect. That just doesn't make sense. The hunter himself, the Mitsuzune armor hunter, the effects are like fiery yellow and golden and like some lightning. So you don't, whatever that purple glow is, that is not explained. That is not shown very clearly. We don't get to see what that is. So forget the Silkbind attack. I want to know what the hell that purple glow is. And I've seen a lot of people speculate. I don't know what it could ultimately be. So I'm not going to speculate as to what it is. I don't think it's Gore Magala virus. I don't know why people even suggested that. Again, this is the second time I bring up Gore Magala in this video because a lot of people just keep wanting that monster to be in the game. I don't think Capcom is going to do it. We'll have to wait and see. But as of right now, that clip specifically was interesting mostly because of that glow. And we still don't have an answer as to why that is. But that's about all the information that I have for you guys today. I certainly want to hear your comments as to what type of Silkbind attacks you want to be added into the game, specifically for your weapon of choice. Now, for me, basically, as I mentioned, the light bowgun Silkbind attack that we saw with the sphere and the whole little thing, if they're going to give us piercing on top of rapid fire, I'm good with that. I don't need anything else. I already think that light bowgun, it kind of needs a nerf, kind of needs a little bit of a dial back to begin with, so it could be brought to par with other weapons. And if they're going to give us piercing on top of rapid fire, I mean, come on, it's just unnecessary. So it's just extra free damage, you know. So if slicing is going to get that benefit, forget it. I'm never going to have to use any other weapon than the ones that I'm already using now. So, you know, it's just going to be even better as it is. But again, if you're brand new to my channel, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. Hit the bell to receive notifications when the videos go up. And as always, thank you so much for watching. See ya.